If you're into anime and epic storytelling, you have definitely heard of Fullmetal Alchemist. But there's always one question that trips up newcomers. Wait, why are there two different shows? So today, let's break down how the incredible journey of the Elric brothers was told not just once, but twice, creating two totally unique and beloved classics.
Everything, and I mean everything in the world of Fullmetal Alchemist is built on this one single, unshakable law, equivalent exchange. And this isn't just some magic rule, It's the philosophical cornerstone of the entire story. It governs science, nature, and every moral choice these characters have to make. It's the promise of a fair trade, but it's also the source of so much tragedy.
And that tragedy, well, that's exactly where our story kicks off. To really get why there are two different versions of this tale, you have to first understand the one catastrophic event that set two young brothers on their path.
Let me introduce you to Edward and Alphonse Elric. They're these brilliant young alchemists who, after losing their mom, decide to do the unthinkable. They're just kids driven by grief, and they try to break alchemy's greatest taboo, bringing their mother back from the dead.
So why is this forbidden? It's not just because it's a rule, it's because it's impossible. Think about it. The law of equivalent exchange says you can't get something from nothing. And in this world, there is no amount of water, minerals, or carbon that could ever equal the value of a single human soul.
And oh boy, the law, it always collects its debt. The transmutation rebounds in the worst way imaginable. In just an instant, Edward loses his left leg. Alphonse, he loses his entire body. Gone. In a final act of desperation, a bleeding Edward sacrifices his own right arm just to grab his brother's soul and bind it to a suit of armor.
This is what's so cool about the series. Alchemy isn't just waving a magic wand. It's treated like a hard science. It's a three-step process. So, say you want to turn a stone wall into a statue. First, you have to comprehend its makeup, then deconstruct it to its basic elements, and finally reconstruct it into that new shape. The Elrics were geniuses at this, but not even they could cheat the fundamental laws.
Okay, so you've got this incredible story as a foundation. The animation studio Bones sets out to adapt it back in 2003. But they almost immediately ran into a huge and very common problem when you're adapting a manga that isn't finished yet.
Just look at these dates. They tell you everything you need to know. The original manga, by the brilliant Hiromu Arakawa, started in 2001, but it wouldn't be finished for another 9 years. The first anime? It started airing just 2 years later. You can see it right there. The anime was on a collision course to overtake its own source material, and fast.
So the studio had a choice. Do you just stop, go on a long break and wait, or do you take the wheel and finish the story yourself? They chose to keep going. About halfway through, the 2003 anime had to split off from the manga's plot, creating its own villains, its own character arcs, and a totally original ending for the Elric brothers.
And this is what gives that 2003 series its own unique flavor. It's often seen as a slower, more introspective take. It really leans into the psychological damage and the emotional weight of what the brothers did, making it this darker, more character-driven drama that absolutely stands on its own.
But here's the thing. While the first anime was wrapping up, Arakawa's manga just kept going and going, revealing this much bigger, more complex plot than anyone could have guessed. And as the fan base grew, so did the demand for an adaptation that could finally, tell the whole story, just as she intended.
And man, what a story it turned out to be. After almost a decade, the manga finished its run in 2010. A massive, sprawling epic. We're talking 108 chapters, and it was celebrated for its incredible plot and seriously satisfying conclusion. The complete roadmap was finally available.
So, of course, they had to go back. Studio Bones returned to the franchise, and in 2009, they started a brand new series. Now, this wasn't a sequel, it was a total do-over, a complete reboot designed from day one to be a one-to-one adaptation of that finished manga. And to make sure everyone knew it was different, they gave it a new name, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And this is the most important part. Brotherhood had one mission and one mission only, to tell the whole story. The goal was to adapt all 27 volumes, including the massive cast, the huge conflicts, and the true identity of the story's ultimate villain. All these things the first anime never even got a chance to touch.
Okay, so now we had these two series. They start at the exact same tragic moment, but boy, do they end up in completely different places. Let's break down how this split creates two very distinct experiences.
Here is the absolute best way to think about it. The 2003 anime started the journey with an incomplete map. It had to guess where to go and basically draw its own destination. Brotherhood, on the other hand, was handed the full, complete, detailed world atlas before it even took its first step.
And that led to some huge differences. The main villain in the 2003 series, a character named Dante, she doesn't even exist in the manga. The big bad in Brotherhood is a much older, more powerful being known simply as Father. The homunculi, the group of artificial human villains, their whole origin story changes. In the first series, they're the tragic results of failed human transmutations. In Brotherhood, they're pieces of Father's own sins. Even a specific homunculus like Wrath is a completely different person in each show.
So, what does this actually mean for you, the viewer? Well, you get two totally different experiences. The 2003 anime is that darker, more personal, psychological story. Brotherhood is a faster, bigger, grand adventure epic with a huge cast and massive nation-spanning battles. Both are amazing, but for completely different reasons.
But here's the bottom line. It doesn't really matter which version you watch first, or which one you prefer. The impact of Hiromu Arakawa's original story is just undeniable. It's become a true landmark of the medium, loved by millions all over the world.
Just look at this number. The original manga has sold over 80 million copies worldwide. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's not just successful, that's legendary status. That puts it in the top tier of best-selling manga ever.
And it's not just a commercial hit. The series has been showered with awards. The Shogokaken Manga Award in Japan, the Seiyun Award for Best Science Fiction Comic. This isn't just a popular story, it's a critically acclaimed work of art.
But the real reason this story sticks with people, the reason we're still talking about it, is its depth. Fullmetal Alchemist isn't just about two boys trying to get their bodies back. It's this deep dive into the cost of war, the corruption of power, what it means to be a family, and the true meaning of sacrifice.
And this whole situation, this tale of two series, leaves us with one last really interesting question. The 2003 anime offers one truth. Brotherhood offers the author's truth. But does one invalidate the other? It makes you think about storytelling itself and leaves you wondering, if a story has two different endings, which one tells the truth?